in your coffee and find a seat. Welcome to the 44th Annual Murrow Symposium. Thank you all for being here today. We have an incredible program lined up for you. We're going today until about 3 o'clock. You'll see today outside in all of the rooms, there are posters outside each room, so you can follow along with the schedule throughout the day. There is also an app that is posted online, and the schedule is also on our website. If you have any questions at all, you can come find me or anybody at the registration desk, and we can answer any questions that you have. And now, without any further ado, I would like to introduce you to our Dean, Bruce Pinkleton, who will be announcing our speaker for this morning. So please come on up, Bruce. Thank you, everybody.
All right, good morning, everyone. How are you today? Awesome, okay. I'm feeling a little energy. I know it's early still, so get some coffee if you need to. I just want to thank you for joining us here for the symposium. This is a big event for us. It's 2 days filled with industry experts, workshops, career coaching, panels, networking opportunities, all sorts of career-oriented learning opportunities for our students. In short, as I was thinking about this morning, I realized this is really our Final Four, our Olympics, our Super Bowl, all rolled into one event. And we're happy to have you here and pleased to have you as part of our event this morning. I can't thank our board members, panelists, speakers, faculty, and career coaches enough for being here. They come together at their own expense, interact with our students, and they coach me up a bit and advise me. They're really a critical part of our college, who we are and what we're about, and I appreciate their involvement very much. We're committed to a skills-based, hands-on undergraduate education and preparing students for professional success. And the energy and participation our board members and panelists bring to this event is critical, so thank you very much. This morning, we're going to kick things off with a presentation by Jessamyn McIntyre. Jessamyn is the executive producer of 710 ESPN Seattle. She's the producer of Danny, Dave, and More, and the sideline reporter for Washington State University. So she does outstanding work. I'm sure you've heard her work before. Please help me welcome Jessamyn to the stage.
Hi, I didn't follow my way up, so I'm off to a good start here. I thought I would be nervous to talk to a room full of people because when you can't see the people you're talking to thousands at a time, it's just a little easier, but I realized I was just excited. And it's awesome. I brought over here in an athletic capacity 7 years in a row, and I've never had an opportunity to interact with people on an academic level. A lot of people think I'm an alum, and I don't try to pretend I am, even though I'm totally an adopted Coug, full through, paperwork signed. But I went to Springfield College in Massachusetts. I grew up in New York, and we had a sports journalism program there. And I find myself insanely jealous of what you have going on here, the resources that you have available, and obviously it's a testament to everyone's work, Dean Pinkleton in particular. It's unbelievable, and I had to get all the experience that you have available to you at your fingertips. I had to do it after I graduated college and go find those low-paying, non-paying jobs, supplement my income whenever I could, and you guys are in the best position ever. And I'm sure you know that because this is not an easy school. It's not an easy program to get into. Murrow is held in very high regard. But one of the things I want you to do while you're still here is get all the experience you can, because you're gonna jump out ahead. The people who I was competing with for jobs with, you're gonna be ahead of them. You're gonna be ahead of me where I was when I started. And I'm still growing my career, but you're gonna have a huge jump. And I wanna talk to you guys a little bit about your path and where you are here, and I'm not gonna be cheesy about it because there's a million different ways to do it. So I'll give you a little, I don't want to talk about myself a lot because I want to talk about where you're going. But just so you know the way that I got to where I am right now, I graduated with a sports journalism degree. I was hired in Bristol, Connecticut at ESPN headquarters right out of college, which was in the radio department where I had no experience. But they were doing a diversity hire and I had a good resume, so they figured they could teach me on the job, and they did. So all of my experience I learned on the job. While I was there, I was a production assistant. You know, you start out by cutting highlights, you learn how to produce, and then you eventually can work your way up slowly but surely, but you can't make the big jumps because at the network level, which I'm sure they'll teach you here, they hire from outside, people who go away, get the title, move up quickly, get the experience, and come back in. So while I found myself churning at the bottom, I got recruited out to Seattle to actually help launch the station. And I was in my early 20s, and I decided to put all my stuff in a car and go. And so 10 years later, don't really want to age myself, but I guess I just did. 10 years later, 710 ESPN Seattle is going strong. We're the #1 sports talk radio station in the market. I have risen to be their executive producer, and we have expanded from 6 hours of programming to 10 hours of programming a day. We've hired several people, several of whom come through our internship program, which I will talk about a little bit because I cannot express to you how important internships are and can be. I was leaving, I actually wrote this speech a ton of different times because I wanted to make sure I was delivering you the perfect message, but just like when you're setting your goals and you're aiming for them, there's so many more ways than one to get there. And so I figured I would just go and tell you, because there's not one way to deliver this message to you, and there's not one way to tell you how to chase your career, and there's not one way for any of us to get to where we want. And I'm gonna kind of go with that theme throughout here, because I was leaving my hotel this morning and all of the scouts, all the NFL scouts were staying there too. And I saw them all in the lobby, and I recognized some of them because I like to bother them and ask about our guys who are heading towards hopefully the NFL. And a couple of them recognized me, came over and talked to me, and it made me realize how much there's this focus on this one day. Everybody's been working for pro day for the NFL hopefuls, and how we do that. I did that. There's just one goal, and we only have one way to get there. I realized my goal to be on air and to be a reporter after I had already moved to Seattle. I thought that I could only move up in a management role as my career advanced. And you know, these guys, 1%, less than 1% of guys will make it into the NFL. I hope every guy exercising over in the bubble today makes it. But it's not in the cards for everybody. So, you know, they've been chasing this dream for this whole time, but they got a degree. You guys might be chasing, I want to be a sideline reporter, I want to be a producer, I want to be behind a camera, I want to be in front of a camera, I want to be an anchor. But that doesn't mean, and you could get it right away, but that doesn't mean your goals won't change. And I think, especially at the point that you're at, you should be okay with that. You should be okay with your goals evolving as your career does, and you should remember that while you're still in college. It's really important to not feel disappointed for chasing other dreams even though you've focused on one for so long. So please remember that. It really struck me just this morning, which is funny because, like I said, I spent a lot of time thinking about talking to you today. So starting out, it's probably not going to be exactly where you want to be. Sports happen at night and on the weekends, and they're fun, and so you think everything's going to be fun. But while you're watching your friends in finance and, you know, accounting go on and get these 9-to-5s with a 401k right out of college and benefits and everything, you're going to be working for $45 a story, and you're going to be supplementing your income by bartending. I can tell you that because I did that. While I was working at ESPN in Connecticut, I worked overnights from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., and I had to live an hour away so that I can afford rent. Where I rented a house with 2 people, and so I would go home, change, and then be a substitute teacher for the day. And then I would sleep for 4 to 5 hours in the middle of the day and go back, drive back down and do it 4 days in a row. And then on the weekends, I had 1 weekend day off, and I bartended 2 shifts. And I survived. And I'm not saying that it'll be exactly like that for you because I think there are better laws in place for minimum wage these days. Really hoping for you guys. But there will be times where it's not the dream situation, and this industry tends to weed people out, and it's okay. It's okay to realize that it's not exactly what you want to do because the education you're receiving here will set you up to do many different things, not just one. That's another thing that I want to stress to you. So looking towards your future, one of the things, I'll kind of get into it when you are looking once you get out of here, or once you start applying for internships, maybe you're still in school. How important first impressions can be. I mean, if I tripped on my way up to stage, you guys probably would have thought a little different of me. Maybe she shouldn't be in heels, and listen to Mike Leach, who tells her to wear sneakers because he's going to run away from her. That happened. He does run away from me, but gotta keep me sharp in my cardio. Every year I go down to spring training and visit with the Mariners, and I got permission from, oh, did you know they're 7-1? Anybody? Yeah, okay. Mariners are 7-1. And so I spoke with Scott Service, and he speaks with us pretty frankly. I got permission. Scott Service is the manager of the Mariners, and I got permission to tell this story where when he was first hired, they had a lot of young guys. He had first-time manager, and he had to come in and meet them all in a meeting. One of his big things is being on time. You must be on time for everything. He's a stickler for it, and you're going to be in serious trouble if you're not. But for his first meeting, he showed up 2 minutes late with earbuds in, looking at his phone. He wasn't playing anything, and he sat, didn't say anything, looked down at his phone, got up to where I am, the equivalent of where I am in the clubhouse, and said, "What do you think of me right now?" And that was 30 seconds. I mean, 2 minutes late, but 30 seconds. And he made that kind of impression. It was something. He follows all of his players on Twitter. I am personally responsible for him torching his burner account, actually, but I can talk about that at another time. But he pays attention, and it made me think, wow, he pays attention to what I say, too. That matters to me, and I don't play for him. And then I started thinking about things that, I put out there, whether it be on the air, and you're just being yourself, but you're always making an impression on people. And it's something that you forget. I forget. Nobody's immune to it. Everybody forgets. You have professional athletes, you have professional coaches, you have a president who forgets that, or maybe not. But you're always making an impression, whether you're making a speech, whether you're making it online, and it's important. And instead of talking about the bad ones, like Scott Service had given, you have an opportunity every single time to make a really good impression. And I talk to people so often about work ethic. I hire our interns in our station, and there are mundane tasks involved in every internship and every job, but when I watch a student attack them with fervor, I cannot tell you the kind of impact that makes on me. And I want to hire them. I want to keep them. And we don't do the go get coffee thing, but if I teach you how to do one thing and you're willing to ask questions and you attack it every single day, even if it's as simple as cutting up an interview for use, which is kind of boring. If I see someone attack that every single day with the same exact tenacity as they would have if I told them, you're going on the air right now, it's a lasting impression, and you guys are right in the area of doing that. And I think that the students of the Morrow College actually have that ability. I really believe in you. I don't think you're here for no reason. I just want you to kind of keep that in your mind if I could impress anything upon you. Internships, I mentioned them. So important because you're getting on-the-job experience while you're still in school. I talked about the jump that you guys are having on people, and I know that this is an intense program too. So adding an internship during your summer off, it might be hard, but they're so valuable because the majority of the staff that we have right now, I talked about how we've expanded over the years. Well, we drew from our intern pool, and our assistant program director is a former intern of mine. Our imaging director was the first intern I ever hired. I have an intern who, talk about making an impression, he was actually working on the news side. He was a college football athlete at PLU, and SPU, the one that has a football team. Anyway, he was interning with our news station, but he was interested in sports, but he attacked everything. He wore a shirt and tie every day, even though we have a casual dress code. And he wanted to be in sports, but he took the opportunity he had to work in news. And eventually asked his news director to speak with me about perhaps moving over into sports for another internship. This is someone who has a full-time class schedule, a full-time athletic schedule, and added 2 internships to it. I ended up hiring him. We ended up hiring him as a part-time board op. He worked for the Mariners as well, and eventually the Astros hired him away. And this is all within 2 years. And he ended up working with the Astros, and he's born and raised Seattle. 6 months later, his dream job opened with the Seahawks, and they poached him, and they got him back. And that was his path. But what I remember is the guy working in the newsroom who wasn't working for me. Someone's always watching you. And you never, or I guess I should say you never know who's watching you. It sounds kind of creepy when I say someone's always watching you, but you never know who you're impacting. And I remember the young college student busting his butt over for a station that was not mine and how badly I wanted him to work for us. And he took an internship with us, and now I work with him all the time because we're the Seahawks flagship station. His name is Nasa Chobe, and he is the executive producer of Seahawks radio broadcast in-game and post-game. And he got his dream job to work for the Seahawks, and it was in less than 5 years of his internship. So the last thing, actually I mentioned his going above and beyond the dress code, sorry. That's another way to make an impression. And we have a pretty relaxed dress code at our work, and it's radio. It's not that serious, but don't take it too casually if people tell you it's casual. Just pay attention to that because you do have an opportunity to make a really good impression, but you really don't want to make a bad one that way. It's unfortunate that a superficial thing like that could derail you, but it's the truth. So I do have some examples of things while you're going through, I'm giving you all this advice on what to do, but I have some examples of what not to do, and the identities of the perpetrators in these have been, well, some of these have been recreated, but this have been hidden. This is actually, this is a real email. A very close friend of mine is the director of head coaching operations for the Atlanta Falcons, and she gets a lot of cold emails. And this is someone who boasts a journalism degree, and she wrote her right in the middle of training camp. You can see it's August 27th, which is the busiest time of year. So it's also something, just think about what the people you're reaching out to are doing. And there are insane amount of grammatical errors here and run-on sentences and unnecessary words that make you question the authenticity of the resume in education. And this is a longer example that I have, and someone who works for the Falcons doesn't need to know that the Oakland Raiders are an NFL franchise. She kind of already knows that, and please take a look. Making demands of people, ask for help, never be afraid to reach out, but proofread everything and make sure that you are actually putting yourself in a situation where when you're asking for time, someone's time and effort and energy, that they can actually give it to you. Because this girl's not gonna hear from the Falcons for months. I will say that her resume was, I won't show it to you because it would give away her identity, but it was not good. And so my dear friend redid her resume for her and actually sent it to her and said, light the other one on fire, this is your new resume. So she did try to help her out. I try to help people out too and let them know if I'm not going to hire them or if I'm not going to. I try to tell them why. And so if you're ever feeling rejected or anything, just know that, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but I really hope, and don't be afraid to ask for follow-ups if you do experience that. Can you give me some advice for the future? Because people in my position, we definitely want to help. So we'll go to the next one here. This is a real email that I got. That's it. Doesn't matter, you're not gonna get it. All right, we'll go to the next one. This is a Twitter, and this is real. So the producer for the John Clayton Show, which is a program on the station I'm at, this is someone who's looking to get into the field, and I think is doing some on his own, and asked John Clayton's producer to follow him so he could DM her. And there is absolutely no problem with reaching out. It's the manner in which it's done, and also the verbiage here. If John Clayton, the Hall of Fame NFL reporter, would ever want me on, I'd be open to it. I might think about it. If you're asking someone for anything, please know that you're always asking them, and this is not something that, you're not soliciting a request. And there's another slide of this same person. I think the other one happened first. And so she's responding. And this is someone who has no on-air experience whatsoever. If you'd ever have any openings for talent, I'd be open to listening. And it's just not the right approach. And I really think that this room full of people is smart enough, but sometimes these are a little so jarring to me that I want you to actually see it up close. We can go to the next one. This is a great email, but I stopped reading after the first sentence. This is an example, and it's real. I brought this person in for an interview just to shock them. It is so easy to do 5 minutes of research, and I did ask him if it was a typo, and it was not. My name's Jessamyn. I'd say 80% of people would assume that it's female, but because of my job and what I do, people do assume that I'm male sometimes, I guess. Anyway, you can wow me. You can wow an employer by doing 5 minutes of research. It's really not that hard. Our competing station in the city of Seattle is 950 AM KJR, and their most notable host is Dave Softy Muller. And when I was on a phone interview with an internship applicant, I said, hey, do you listen to our station? Yeah, I listen all the time. Oh, great. What's your favorite show? Oh, it's got to be Softy. Just know your company, know who you want to work for, and also do some research. Maybe look at some of their stories, some of their projects, some things that they have done, and mention it in your interviews. I love the piece that you did on blank, and don't lie, but find something you like about what they do, because you're applying there because you want to work there. You're not applying there just to get a job. You want to be there. Show them why you want to be there. It goes a long way. It really goes a long way. So I already talked about social media, just that whole creepy vibe of someone's always watching. So when you are kind of entering the world, I talked about how it's not the most opportune times, it's not the best pay. When it comes to these things, it will be a little nerve-wracking in your early 20s to especially watch people who are in different fields succeed at a more rapid pace. You just have to get the experience in this industry to grow. You see a couple young phenoms here and there, but they're the exception, not the rule. There are a lot of opportunities out there even to freelance for free. But if you have clippings, and if you have a reel, and if you have examples of what you've done, then that's great. And that's what you can do here. And like I talked about coming out ahead here, that's all you should be doing, is putting together your body of work, because they're not going to know that you're someone with no experience, because just looking at your age, they'd assume, oh, no experience. But no, actually, I have this. So take advantage of every opportunity that you have here. And, in closing, I want you all to chase your dream. I'm not trying to discourage you at all. I just want you to have a realistic view of what it's going to be like when you get out there, so that it doesn't dash your hopes and that you can fight through it. And also know that your goals can evolve over the way. I never had a goal to do what I do now, and I could not be more satisfied and proud of what I do, but I'm still chasing other goals as well. So you can be in the industry for 20 years. My hosts that I produce on an afternoon drive show in 710 ESPN Seattle, one is a former football player for the Seahawks. He doesn't need to do what he's doing now. One's a former columnist for the Seattle PI, and one is a former beat writer for the Seattle Times. So these are guys in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And the evolution of what you're doing is never gonna stop. And just don't fear that change, because it'll serve you really well. I can't tell you how blessed and honored I am to be here to be speaking with you. I really, really love seeing how much the Murrow College does for you guys, and I really wish I had it in my time. But you're gonna be great. I see what you guys do. I see the students. I see the reporters who are covering the team, and it blows my mind that they're in college. I read the articles. I read the game notes. You guys have everything going for you here, and I just want you to keep on taking every opportunity you have. I don't know how we're doing on time, but I did say that I would take a few questions if anybody had them. Okay, I've got 5 minutes. If anybody has any questions, you can raise your hand, but I won't be offended if nobody has any. Okay, well, if anybody has any specific to women in sports media questions, I'll be at the panel. I forget which room it's in, but the sign's on the door out there. But I'll be on that one specifically afterwards. Yeah, the junior ballroom. But thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it, and the best of luck in your futures.
All right, Jessamyn, that was awesome. I feel like I've been to school today. How about you? That was fantastic. Great job. Great way to wake us up and get us started here. I appreciate that very much. Murrow once said, just once in a while, let us exalt the importance of ideas and information. And that's what we'll be doing here these next couple of days. So I want you to dig in. Students, this is your opportunity. It's really an opportunity of a lifetime. There aren't many universities who do this, so please take full advantage. We have outstanding professionals here. They are committed to the excellence, integrity, and accomplishment that Murrow embodied, and we appreciate their involvement, so please avail yourselves of them. They tell me all the time, send me students, I want to help, I want to be involved, and so we're excited about that. Appreciate your involvement very much. Check your app for the most up-to-date schedule. Occasionally we do have schedule changes. Those things occur all the time. We have panels and speakers going on throughout the day. Tonight, we'll be honoring Melissa Block in this very room with a Murrow Lifetime Achievement Award that starts at 7:30, and it's going to be an outstanding event. I spent some time with Melissa yesterday, and she's just an outstanding person. If you've heard her work at all, you will be so impressed. It's truly in keeping with Murrow's work, and so she's a really wonderful honoree for us this evening. Tag your social media with #Symposium44, and have a great day.